7 years after demonetization entered the public vocabulary, has come an order to withdraw 2,000 rupee notes from circulation. To be clear, this is not like the demonetization of 2016. For one, 2,000 rupee notes remain legal tender. That means you can buy things with them, make payments, no restrictions. But the circular issued by the Reserve Bank of India does say that people are encouraged to deposit these notes with their banks or exchange them for lower denominations. This can be done between the 23rd of May and the 30th of September. If you are depositing your 2,000 rupee notes in your account, there is no limit. But if you want to exchange these for smaller notes, then you can do this for 20,000 rupees at a time. That means 10 notes of 2,000 rupees at a time. So what happens post September 30th? If you have not yet exchanged or deposited your 2,000 rupee notes by then, you have to take it directly to the RBI. But the hope is that by that time, 2,000 rupee notes will be pretty much out of the system. In fact, banks will stop issuing these notes right away. So why is this happening? First, we need to understand the genesis of the 2,000 rupee note. It's a byproduct of demonetization in 2016 and first came into being after 500 rupee and 1,000 rupee notes were extinguished on 8th November 2016. In March 2018, the value of all these 2,000 rupee notes in the economy put together was around 6 lakh crore rupees. Right now, it's about half of that at nearly 3 lakh crore rupees. These notes account for just a little over 10% of all currency in circulation and are being withdrawn under what the RBI calls the clean note policy. Their explanation is that these notes have served their shelf life for 4 to 5 years and are not needed anymore. But here's the catch. After September 30th, you can't effectively use these notes anymore. In fact, even though the 2,000 rupee note is legal tender as of now, will they be accepted easily is the question in case you want to purchase goods and services with this. Also, importantly, what does this achieve? Is this a strike on black money? Does it move Indians even closer to going cashless? Before we come to all of these questions, let's first listen in to what TV Somanathan, Finance Secretary, had to say.
It is no longer necessary. So it has served its need, and now it's time to move on to smaller denominations.
Sir, just for the clarification, what will happen after? Sir, 30 सितंबर के बाद क्या होगा सर इन नोट्स का? क्या RBI इस नोट्स को लेगा वापस? क्योंकि बैंक
हाँ, ये तो अभी भी लीगल टेंडर है, तो इसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. अभी भी लीगल टेंडर है. जी. It continues as a legal tender.
तो सर सितंबर 30 के बाद
ऐसे कई बार हुई है. You have had, one 500 rupee note was withdrawn some years ago for security reasons. So this has happened many times. This is not new.
सर इसे नोट डिमोनेटाइजेशन नहीं कह सकते. इसे क्या कहेंगे?
नहीं, ये डिमोनेटाइजेशन नहीं है. ये replacement of 2,000 rupee notes.
All right, to speak more on this, I'm joined first this evening by Mr. P. Chidambaram, former finance minister. He's joining us on the phone line. Thank you so much, Mr. Chidambaram, for speaking with us this evening on Beyond the Headline. Is it fair to say that this is not demonetization? We just heard from Mr. TV Somanathan, who says this is not demonetization. How would you categorize the move that we've seen this evening?
See, demonetization is a frightening word for them. What they did was demonetization. They withdrew from circulation rupees 500 and rupees 1,000 rupee notes. Read the RBI notification of November 16. They call it withdrawing from circulation. They are withdrawing from circulation the 2,000 rupee note. I welcome it because it's correcting an error 7 years later. The 2,000 rupee note idea was a bad idea. It was a stupid idea. You withdraw 500 and 1,000 and you introduce 2,000. It helps the black money holder it makes it very convenient for him. Instead of storing in 400-500 rupee notes and 200 rupee notes, he can store it in 2,000 rupee notes. But the ordinary people, the masses, abhor rupees 2,000. They refuse to accept it. They refuse to use it for their daily exchange. And you will not find rupees 2,000 rupee notes used in villages, shops, or shandies, or in fairs. You will not find the 2,000 rupee note. Anyway, I'm glad that they're withdrawing the 2,000. And you take my prediction. I predicted they will reintroduce the 500, which they did after a few weeks of demonetization. And I won't be surprised if they reintroduce the 1,000 rupee note.
The other point is that the RBI says circulation has dropped. And that's one of the reasons that they are withdrawing these notes. The circulation has come down to half. In 2018, it was about 6 lakh crore rupees in the economy. Now it's 3 lakh crore rupees. Does that justify the act of removing this under their clean note policy?
The circulation has dropped because the people of India abhor the 2,000 rupee note. It's a suspect note from day one. Nobody would accept it. Nobody would exchange it. You can't take a 2,000 rupee note and exchange it in a village shop or a small town shop. Therefore, the right thing to do is to withdraw the 2,000 rupee note. And they are doing it now. And it was always a dirty note. And I believe they are calling it clean note policy. 2,000 rupee was always a dirty note. By withdrawing it, they are withdrawing a dirty note.
Some people, Mr. Chidambaram, are linking this action politically as well. They're saying that, look at the timing. It comes before the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. It comes just after the Karnataka elections. Do you see the connection? What's your take on this?
What is political about it? Despite the demonetization, there were huge seizures of black money, not only during elections, but otherwise also. Every time the ED or the income tax or CBI raid somebody, they come up with a story that we seize so much currency. It was all in 2,000 rupee notes or maybe 500 rupee notes. So black money was not abolished by demonetization. Black money was generated even after demonetization. So I don't see any political motive. They will have to have currency notes which are popular and widely circulated. Because the current cash in circulation has doubled since November 2016, from about 18 lakh crore to about 36, 37 lakh crore. You need currency. You need currency for people who want to buy and sell. And therefore, they have to have a certain amount of currency in circulation. Since the 2,000 rupee note was abhorred by the people, they are forced to withdraw it. And I won't be surprised that they reintroduce the 1,000 rupee note.
Chidambaram, effectively, after 30th September, 500 rupees will be the highest denomination that we will see in the country. Is that enough for an economy of our size with the level of cash in our economy right now?
It was not enough. You see, 50 years ago, a 10 rupee note was enough for a person to step out of his house. 25 years ago, a 100 rupee note was enough for people to step out of their houses. Now, a 500 rupee note takes you so far, but not very far. It is absolutely necessary as per capita incomes rise, as inflation devalues the currency, as the volume of business, volume of exchange doubles and triples. It is necessary to have right size denominations, right denominations. And in my view, given the current state of India's economy and trade and needs and cash in circulation, the right size denominations are 500 and 1,000.
So, are you saying that we'll be back to square one with 1,000 rupee notes also back and 500 rupee notes also, of course, which are already back?
the demonetization. I'm surprised it has taken them 7 years to reluctantly, grudgingly accept their mistake. They don't accept the mistake yet. They give it a spin that they are cleaning up the currency.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Chidambaram there. I'm speaking now to Mr. K.V. Subramanian, former Chief Economic Advisor. We're getting you the biggest names this evening on the show, everything you need to understand about this. Mr. K.V. Subramanian, some of our viewers will be wondering why. Why remove rupees 2,000 notes? Anyway, less people were using it. The notes in circulation have become half. More and more movement to cashless. UPI numbers are phenomenal. Month on month. It could have died a quiet death. What was the need of this?
Very good evening, Tamanna, and a very good evening to all viewers. The reasons that you mentioned, Tamanna, precisely why this move is a good one. If you look at the data, and the RBI's data, is quite telling in this regard. The currency that was in circulation in 2,000 rupee notes was 6.7 lakh crore as of March 2018. And that has reduced to 3.6 lakh crore now. What does that tell you? That the residual, which is 3.1 lakh crore, is basically being hoarded. And why do I make that inference that it is being hoarded? It is precisely for the reasons that you're mentioning, because the 2,000 rupee note is not being used as a medium of exchange, precisely because of the significant reliance on digital transactions. And I was just hearing Mr. Chidambaram, and was talking about the increase in per capita income, inflation, etc. What he's not taking into account is something that he caught completely wrong, which was, the impact of digital transactions. He's on record, laughing in Parliament, thinking, how can a street vendor use digital transactions? But that is the reality today. So despite the increase in per capita incomes and inflation, I think the key variable is the increase in digital money. So 2,000 rupee note is not being used as a medium of exchange, but it is indeed being used as a means for hoarding. And in any economy, actually, coming down hard on those people that store, wealth from dubious means.
Okay, so one minute, sir. If I want to understand this, one minute, sir. You're saying that 2,000 rupee notes introduced post demonetization are now being used for hoarding. So then, why did we introduce 2,000 rupee notes in the first place? And then the next logical question: does that mean demonetization didn't really help in stopping people from hoarding black money?
No, I'm not, making that inference. Let me be very clear. There is a strategy in war where, you try and hoodwink the opponent by taking the opponent into, you sort of create a facade and take the opponent into a vulnerable area and then kill the opponent there. The 2,000 rupee note, I look at it now, creation of the 2,000 rupee note and thereby a large denomination brought in, a lot of the, unaccounted money in the form of 2,000 rupee notes. And I think this, to me, therefore, is a logical conclusion to really enable the move that was started then. And Tamanna, you would recall, I have actually put out a thread in Twitter, and I urge viewers to actually go and take a look. Research-based evidence showing the clear benefits from demonetization. A couple of points that I want to mention here. If you look at demonetization itself, entities, NGOs, and non-corporate entities that accounted for only about 4% of the overall PANs there are, a deposited cash of about 16% odd. Similarly, if you look at following demonetization, so many of the shell entities, were weeded out. So I think this is a logical conclusion.
But this is not demonetization, right, Dr. Subramanian? This is not demonetization. We have TV Somanathan, the finance secretary, saying on record this is not demonetization. The RBI is saying this is the clean note policy. So then who is doing the hoodwinking to take on from what you said, and who is the opponent?
Look, so I'm placing this over the long period. Absolutely. Let me be very clear. This is a move that's been introduced by the Reserve Bank of India. It is Reserve Bank of India's, jurisdiction to look at the demand for the demand for currency notes of particular denominations. Given the demand for the 2,000 rupee note as a medium of exchange having declined, but its use as a means of hoarding remaining, I think this is a very good move. But you have to keep in mind that over the 7-year period, starting with the demonetization, when you look at it in that big picture, the long run, this is essentially the logical conclusion to ensure that the move against some of the black money that was started then happens now.
So you are maintaining that this is about black money. This is not just,
yes.
But you know what? This is just 10% of the cash in circulation. This is just 10% of the cash in circulation. You're saying it's being used to hoard black money. The amount of these notes has been coming down. My question to you, Mr. Subramanian, is that after the 30th of September, the highest denomination we will have in the country will be 500 rupees. And I asked this question to Mr. Chidambaram as well. Is this enough for a country and economy of our size? He says he thinks the 1,000 rupee note will make a comeback. Do you think so? Or will 500 rupee be the largest size note that we will have?
I don't see the need for a 1,000 rupee note to be brought back. As I was mentioning earlier as well, one of the key trends that Mr. Chidambaram is not taking into account is the use of digital money for transactions. We can use digital money not only for paying, small amounts, 10 rupee, 50 rupee. We can also use them for large amounts as well. So, the projections for the growth in digital transactions in India, the report by the Boston Consulting Group shows that from about 3 trillion odd, now it is expected to grow to 10 trillion, which is more than a 3-fold increase by 2026. So, when we have significant use of digital money right now, which is likely to increase even more, I think it's a moot point to actually keep focusing on the use of the, of currency notes. Also keep in mind the Reserve Bank is introducing, is also introducing CBDC as well, central bank digital currency, which will also, be used significantly. So the use of physical cash in the economy, given the trends that have happened over the last 7 years, I think is significantly on a decline.
Some would say, Mr. Subramanian, that yes, CBDC will come, UPI numbers have been going up, but we still have about 32 lakh crore rupees of cash in the economy. We are also an economy which is not all urban India, not all UPI and smartphone, competent. People do use cash in the far-flung parts of this country. Is 500 rupees going to be enough? And, is this sort of a force-fed move? And first of all, this is not even the official stated purpose.
No. So I think the point that I'm making are twofold. One, take the the median income of somebody. Let's take rural income. For people who are in rural India, a 500 rupee note actually keeping, let's say, they want to carry cash of 5,000 rupees or even 10,000 rupees. 500 rupee notes is more than enough. I think the point that is being made here, that you need a high denomination note, is something which actually is not justified by the trends that you're seeing. If, for instance, and that is the key point, if there was no use of digital transactions, even in rural areas, they are being used significantly. For instance, just to give you an example, now in Washington, D.C. here, I do yoga with a professional that is actually based in rural UP, and I make payments to him through digital money. So I think we have to, recognize that even rural India now uses significant digital transactions. So I don't see the need for, a 1,000 rupee note. A 500 rupee note is more than enough, especially, when you complement that with the use of digital money. As for, the point that I was making, yes, the, the official statement does not talk about the stated purpose which I'm inferring here. But when you look at the big picture and the fact that 3.1 lakh crore is being hoarded, that's a large amount of money that you have to keep in mind.
Is it
And
fair?
I just wanna circle back to the point that you mentioned
say
earlier.
it's being hoarded? In all fairness, Mr. Subramanian, is it fair today to say that Indians who are holding the 2,000 rupee note are hoarders? Because there are about 3 lakh crore of these notes. And there are a lot of people holding it who may not be hoarders. Is it fair to call all of them hoarders?
No. I think, Tamanna, if you use the 80-20 rule, I think 20% of of maybe that 3.1 lakh crore is genuinely being held by people who actually need it for transaction purposes. But 80% of that 3.1 lakh crore is likely to be held by 20% of individuals who are hoarding it, who basically have income from undisclosed sources. So I think, that is the focus that I'm talking about.
Okay.
80% of that 3.1 lakh crore is still about 2.5 lakh crore, which is not a small amount of money. I think that's something that has to be kept in mind. Also, I go back to a data point that you were mentioning earlier. In March of 2018, the 2,000 rupee notes cumulatively accounted for 40% of cash in circulation. Today, they account for only 10% of cash in circulation, which means that, one, the 2,000 rupee note is not being used for transactions. Number two, which means, and the inference is, it is being used for hoarding by a large number of individuals. Last point, if you recall the raids that happened in Bengal, a few months back, and what did you see? You saw piles of mountains of notes that were all pink colored. There are other instances as well. So I think that only testifies further what I'm talking about. That 3.1 lakh crore.
You have come to the root of the debate that is brewing. Since you mentioned Bengal, I'm going to read out a tweet put out by Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister of Bengal, just a short while ago, I think about maybe 40 minutes ago or so, who says, so it wasn't a 2,000 rupee dhamaka, but $1 billion dhoka to 1 billion Indians. Wake up, my dear brothers and sisters. The suffering we have endured due to demonetization can't be forgotten, and those who inflicted that suffering shouldn't be forgiven. So, politics, hit on black money, is it, and what does it mean for everyone who's watching? We're going to go into all of the details of that. Thank you so much, Mr. Subramanian, for joining us and for your time. I'm continuing the debate this evening. Dharinder Tayal of the BJP with me on the show. I'm speaking with Monica Hallan as well, who's joining me today on the show. Sujata Paul of the Congress Party is with me, and I'm also speaking with Madhavan Narayanan, senior journalist. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us. Ms. Sujata Paul, I'm going to begin by asking why this is being looked at politically at all.
Because this is not cleaning up of a process, but the fear that has gripped this government is making it take back this currency. Now, they don't call it demonetization. It is exactly that. It is demonetization. What was the purpose of demonetization and what happened was something totally different. They said that all the terror funding would stop, all the black money would be recovered, there would be reduction of cash in the economy, fake currency, forfeited currency would stop. But did that happen? Like they themselves say that 99% came back. And, listening to the former the chief economic advisor, I can quite understand what this government does. It doesn't think before it acts. Because what he was trying to make out was that everybody in this country is a criminal. But let me give you some facts. When demonetization took place, cash in the economy was 17,74,000 crore. And now it has doubled to 37 lakh crore. So there is more money in the market right now in cash. And the money that is, as far as the 2,000 rupees is concerned, because most people couldn't afford a 2,000 rupees under the BJP government, obviously they will have notes of lower denomination. So this is the mistake that they are rectifying, as Mr. Chidambaram correctly just mentioned.
Okay.
But the fact is that this this government is not being able to explain what happened and why it happened as a result of demonetization. And just take 10 more seconds. The GDP growth came down. It became half, from 8.2% to 4.1%. 35 lakh jobs were destroyed. Thousands of factories shut down. And so many MSMEs were destroyed completely.
But that's not related, ma'am. That's not related to today.
No, I'll tell you why I'm saying this. Because the former chief economic advisor was making out as if everybody in India is a criminal. No,
Okay.
it is the middle class which always suffers. And even now, all those people, for example, people in the rural areas, if they have money and they are collecting that money.
But you just
would
said they
call
can't
it
afford.
hoarding? If
You just
somebody
said
has
they can't
collected
afford
20,000
2,000 rupee notes. You're saying people
No,
are poor under this
exactly.
government, so they can't afford 2,000 rupee notes.
That is no. I'm talking about the chief economic
Yes.
advisor.
Okay.
What he was saying. Are you going to say that if somebody collects 20,000 rupees in a village, will you call him a hoarder? That is what he was doing. What I'm saying is, people don't even have
let me
the
bring
capacity to
let me
get
bring
that
Mr.
kind of money.
Tayal in. Let me bring Mr. Tayal in. Officially, we heard from TV Somanathan. They're not saying that anyone who has 2,000 rupee notes are criminal. They're not saying that you will be penalized for it. You can use it. I don't know if people will accept it, but you can use it. You can go and put it in your bank. You can deposit it. You can exchange it. You have to 30th September to do it. So even if it's an attempt to do what was done in 2016, clearly lessons have been learnt. The amount of currency which is being extinguished is only 10%, it's not 86%. Time given to do it is several months. But what is the point, Mr. Tayal? What is the point? What is the purpose? What does it achieve? Doesn't it raise questions about whether demonetization worked? Why did you bring the 2,000 rupee note in the first place? A lot of these questions are being asked today. What was the whole point?
Yeah, okay. So thank you, Tamanna. I think the clarification has in any case been given by RBI. So first, let's start from there itself before we become detectives and try to go behind the moves. So the first thing very clearly has been said by RBI that 80% of these notes were in any case printed before March 2017. They have a life of 4 to 5 years. The notes have outlived their utility or their life and are being withdrawn. So it's a clean note policy. The only thing is today we are feeling that is not the right thing. There is more to it. There is more to it than that. So RBI has very clearly given. The second question which you asked is what was the need to bring it out? RBI has clarified that also, that it was at that time when there was major counterfeiting, there was major terror funding, and at that stage when the 500 and 1,000 rupee notes were being withdrawn, at that stage they had to be replaced, and they had to be replaced quickly. So for that, as an interim measure, these notes were brought in, and now that their utility is over, it is being withdrawn. And there is nothing new about it. I'll give you some international examples on this so that things become clearer. We're talking about 2016. In May 2016, the 500 euro was no longer being printed. So the US has withdrawn the $500, the $1,000 notes. They've all done that.
Are we the same kind of economy? Are we the same kind of economy?
I don't understand.
Okay, 1 minute. Sujata Paul wants to come in. Are we the same kind of economy?
Let me just give you one data point, and Sujata is welcome.
Okay.
Terror funding, there is a Harvard study that I'm quoting from Musawwar Rahmani Center for Business and Government, which has said that the high denomination notes have been used for corruption and criminal activity. It is well established. So now I don't understand whether every move that RBI makes needs the permission of the Congress. It's a good move that has been made. It is against the black marketers. It is against the hoarders. And I can really understand.
No, so you have contradicted yourself. 1 minute. I'm going to let Ms. Sujata come in, but you've just contradicted yourself. First you quoted the RBI saying the reason is just, business as usual, clean note policy, 4-5 saal ho gaye. You compare it to what happens in other countries. Now you're saying it's an attack on black marketing and black money. So which one is it? Is it
So
business
why
as
does
usual?
it need to be just one of these?
But you have to decide what you are saying. You have to decide what you are saying.
Tamanna, I said
Okay,
so
1
right at
minute.
the beginning.
So
Yes,
this
that's
is reminding me. Okay, it's not demonetization,
so.
but it's reminding me of all the reasons given after demonetization, which was supposed to cure everything. I think except the air pollution in Delhi. It was supposed to fix everything.
I don't know, maybe
Are
it
we
did.
back to that? Okay, 1 minute. Quick reply from Sujata, Paul,
Yes.
and then I
You
go
know-
to the other guest, please. Yes.
Yes, Tamanna, the kind of confusion that exists in the minds of the BJP spokesperson clearly is the confusion that is there in the mind of the government. They don't know what to do. And secondly, you're shaking the people's confidence. Stop attacking people and stop saying that people are hoarding money and they're trying to keep black money.
But is
Every
your
now and then
confidence
you are
shaken?
accusing people who have elected you. Stop doing that. One. And secondly, you're shaking the confidence of the people in the Indian currency. Now they will start buying dollars or euros or gold. This is what will happen now. And that is the hoarding that will happen, not the hoarding of the 2,000 rupees, which nobody could afford. So the liquidity in the market had, started to come in. And after demonetization, like I said, the cash in economy has doubled, Mr. Tayal. So please
No, it's
understand
also okay.
that
There's
what your
1
government is
minute.
doing-
I'm going to come to Monica Halan and Madhavan Narayanan.
Tamanna, I would like just
1
like to
minute,
say
1
one
minute.
thing.
They've been waiting very patiently.
No, I
They've
just
been
want to say, I mean, if somebody has a point, she doesn't need to shout. Anyway.
That is true. That is
carry
true.
on.
That's for everyone. We're very calm. It's a big breaking news day. It's been a long day. People want to understand what's happened. First, people want to understand whether they should be worried or not. Monica Halan, thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. I just want to understand very clearly one concern that has been coming. People have been asking that 2,000 rupees is legal tender today. But if I go out with a note to the kirana wala, for example, and say, or to anyone and say that I want to buy something, can they hesitate or refuse? Because if they take a 2,000 rupee note, they have to queue up somewhere and deposit it or, exchange it in a bank. It's an additional hassle. How can you ensure this will actually be used? It's going to have that chilling effect, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And just first thing first, normally I don't agree to come on shows with politicians because it becomes a slanging match. And I think I'm a finance writer and I don't want to get into all of that. So anyhow, yeah, it's going to be a problem, but I haven't seen people carry 2,000 rupee notes around. Most of the payments are made digitally, whether it's a 5 rupee payment or a 2 lakh rupee payment, it's all mostly digital. So I am not sure that there is going to be any problem in ease of transaction. People, if they were still using cash, I've seen more of 500 rupee notes than 2,000. So I think we're just flogging a little bit of a dead horse here. The issue with the 2,000 rupee being phased out is that there are people who are going to be caught with this cash with disproportionate income. And the only thing that I can urge the government to do is not make the same mistake of not going after people who had disproportionate assets in 2016. So big data is there, technology is there. You are going to get infusions of cash. We saw what happened with the banking sector. We saw what happened with the CAs in 2016. When this time these notes come back, I can only hope that there is oversight and for taxpayers like us, we get to see some action being taken on disproportionate assets held by people. But as far as everyday life is concerned, I think we are flogging a dead horse by discussing it.
Okay, it's just happened. It's a few hours ago, so not quite a dead horse. It's still alive and kicking. People are confused. People are wondering. I've been getting a lot of WhatsApp messages. A lot of people on social media asking what's happened. There are ghosts of 2016 coming in, which is why I think it's worth the time to understand every aspect of this. Madhavan, one question on this: what happens after September 30th if you've not managed to go to the bank? You have to now go to the Reserve Bank of India. Is that enough? And the second part of what I asked, in our economy, is 500 rupees enough as the highest denomination currency?
Well, Tamanna, I feel like a batsman in an IPL match asked to bat in the 20th over and being given the wrong end to. This is not really my domain, the question you asked. Honestly speaking, these are technicalities in which RBI will have the last say, but because a long rope has been given, September is unlike the previous demonetization of 2016. People have a good four months to go, and therefore, and even as we have noted, as you yourself said, 2,000 rupee notes themselves are not as much in circulation compared to, let's say, the 500 rupee notes of 2016, and therefore, to that extent, it's logistically much easier to resolve, and therefore, if people are sleeping after 30th September, they must own part of the problem, in which case, again, there might be a backstop from RBI. I'm sure it's there in the fine print somewhere in the circular that RBI has put out. So I don't want to go there because that's for your reporters to dig up, because it's not really exciting from an analytical point of view. Maybe Monica will have something to say on that, because from a personal finance point of view, it could have a certain bearing. I want to point out instead to two other aspects that you sort of ignored throughout the discussion. First is that 2,000 rupee notes were printed in the first place to resolve a logistical problem of the rupee note printing press in 2016, because so much of cash went out of the system that in order to push legal cash back into the system, they adopted larger notes of a larger denomination. But they got stuck with a unique problem, is that 2,000 rupee notes are very difficult to handle every day, and therefore it doesn't help the common citizen or person on the street. On the other hand, it becomes a very good hoarding tool, and we had this peculiar situation of the former chief economic advisor as well as the BJP spokesperson effectively underlining the importance of 2,000 rupee as hoarding material, but the finance secretary himself did not admit to it, because 2016 demonetization was such a flaming failure that the government officially does not want to link it to a black money crackdown, but there are some source-based stories out saying that that is the intended purpose. Now, let me come to how it can be connected to this. First of all, Sujata Paul put out a very relevant fact that there is double the cash out there. So people love cash, let's admit that. Second thing is, cash of larger denomination is easy to hold. Third thing is, not everybody wants to deal in UPI or digitization, because there's still a lot of shady activity going on in this country. And raids in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Bengal have shown that politicians still prefer cash, So to that extent, in an election year, now this is what makes it interesting. I don't think it's a coincidence at all that the tax collected at source has been imposed yesterday, and some sort of a mini demonetization
rolled back also.
Sorry?
TCS has been rolled back.
Yeah,
a bit.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
There's a lot of breaking news.
But that was expected.
Madhavan, I am fretting because there's another huge story breaking. There's another huge story breaking. So I'm going to request you to finish your point. Big story breaking this evening. It's Freaky Friday for news. Yeah.
I have to say something very important, which is that Hawala trade concerning rupee and dollar has always been there. It has come down after liberalization, but it still exists probably in Dubai and Bahrain and Singapore and places like that. And Hawala money always heats up before elections, because a lot of foreign hoarded money of politicians does get exchanged. And the government might be having intelligence to that effect. And this is one way of stumping the opposition, because you have election bonds, they are playing cash. So you're sort of tilting the game in favor of the ruling party. I can write a paperback novel on this, but you got a story to tell, Tamanna. Go right ahead.
I want to just break into this, and this is